Test, 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 test. One, two. 1, 2. Check, check.
September like 26, 27. No, she's showing. It's pretty funny. She's showing a picture of her.
welcome to our June 18th meeting. At this time, I'll call the meeting to order. Thank you for being here for our regular City Council meeting, June 18th, 2024. At this time, I call the meeting to order, and I would like to invite Pastor Grady Root from Maricopa Springs Family Church to come forward for the invocation, after which will be led for the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilmember Manfredi. Please rise if you're able.
I invite you to join me in prayer. Lord Jesus, your scriptures tell us when one rules justly over men, ruling in the fear of God, he dawns on them like the morning light, like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning, like rain that makes grass to sprout from the earth. Lord, we long for our city and community to have this kind of blessing. So we pray for the leaders of our city that you would graciously empower them to rule justly, that they would have care and concern not only for themselves, but for all those whom they represent as our elected officials. I pray that they would seek what is true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellent, and praiseworthy. Give them the wisdom and courage they need to lead in this way. We pray for our first responders and service members that you would protect them and keep them safe, and we pray for those in our community who are suffering under various hardships, that you would show them mercy. We ask all these things confident in your loving kindness towards mankind. In Jesus' name, amen.
All right, thank you very much, Pastor Grady Root and Councilmember Manfredi. At this time, it'll take us to the roll call.
Councilmember Gettle.
Present.
Councilmember Knorr.
Present.
Councilmember Marsh.
Here.
Councilmember Manfredi.
Here.
Councilmember Wade.
Here.
Vice Mayor Learman. Here. Mayor Smith.
Here.
Madam Mayor, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much, Vanessa. Appreciate that. That takes us to the proclamations, acknowledgments, awards, and presentations. As of this evening, we have none of those. So that'll move us to the report from the mayor and city council members. Council members, yes, Councilmember Marsh.
So on June 5th, I attended the Maricopa Flood Control District meeting. They're responsible for flood prevention in Maricopa. They manage drainage issues, and they maintain and manage the Santa Cruz and Santa Rosa washes. They've applied to the Army Corps of Engineers for a work permit to do some serious work on the Santa Rosa Channel all the way to Peters and Nowell Road, south of the railroad tracks. Part of the project is digging a shallow ditch to control low flow situations. The Maricopa Flood Control District is a local taxing authority, and they tax all of us as a line item in our annual property tax bills. So it's worthwhile for me to keep an eye on them. From what I've seen, their board of directors and management team are all smart and properly motivated and fiscally conservative. That's a good thing. On June 12th, along with other council members, I attended a session of You Talk, We Listen. The speaker was the head of the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens. They provide services to seniors throughout Pinal County, including free Meals on Wheels with home delivery to over 50 people here in Maricopa. They also provide respite support to home givers. They currently manage more than 80 cases here in Maricopa, and they're involved with 10 senior centers in Pinal County. On the 14th, Flag Day, I attended the flag raising ceremony at the community center, along with the mayor and other council members. The event was hosted by local chapters of the American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars. Yesterday, on the 17th, Councilmember Gettle and I attended the Senior Advisory Committee meeting. The Community Center Manager, Chance Love, presented the city's plan to get planning started for the January 18th, 2025 Senior Info Expo. I got to present the committee's fiscal year 24-25 goals. Those goals are on tonight's agenda, and the committee approved them unanimously and recommend a council yes vote. Along with the mayor and several other council members, I attended a presentation of the city's current vision for redesigning the old police station for use as a Maricopa Arts Center with a capacity of 200 plus people in the Performing Arts Theater, and space for several vendors and an art gallery supporting local artists. A reminder from the Senior Center, Friday the 21st, Lunch and Learn speaker is Mayor Nancy Smith. And Friday, July 25th, the speaker is City Manager Ben Bitter. And Friday, August 16th, the speaker is Vice Mayor Amber Learman. So come to the Lunch and Learns. I'm going to end with bad news. The state legislature ended their session this past weekend approving a budget that delays the Riggs Road interchange project out till 2028. That's Maricopa getting the short end of the stick from the legislature. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Marsh. Councilmember Knorr.
Thank you, Mayor
I
Smith.
always want to call you Anna Marie.
It's okay. I answered to that too. I just wanted to say that I was able to attend the chamber breakfast last week, where our own Christian Price gave a phenomenal presentation on the importance of economic development. And it was a packed house because all the businesses in Maricopa wanted to hear words of wisdom from Christian Price, and he did a great job talking about why economic development is so important and what we're doing as a city to promote that. And then I was also at the Flag Day ceremony that the veterans put on, and that was really moving and was really great to be a part of. And we got to hear the story of the flag and our veterans, and it was just a really great opportunity to celebrate our veterans and acknowledge our flag. And then finally, the school board, the Maricopa Unified School District Governing Board, which I still sit on through December, did refer a bond to give the voters of Maricopa the opportunity to support building a couple new schools that are necessary for growth. And so I just wanted to let everybody know that so they could look into that, and because that will be on your ballot. That's all I have.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Knorr. Councilmember Manfredi.
You know, we've worked very hard to fix our transportation issues in the city of Maricopa. Today I was at a meeting of MAG, Transportation Infrastructure Committee. And you know, every meeting we attend, everything we do revolves around the 347. You know, and when the Riggs TI construction stuff, the $49 million that Brett Roberts and Teresa Martinez, who's here in the audience, when those two representatives worked together and made sure that we got that stuff in the budget years ago, that was a success for the city of Maricopa. You know, and there was their possibility that we would lose all that money, and it wouldn't be allocated to us anymore. But Teresa stood up and made sure that although it's being moved to 2028, it's still allocated to the project, and it will be in 2028, because it can simply fade away and go away, right? Unless you have strong representatives working for you to make sure that it doesn't happen. So I want to thank her for that. Also, we had supplemental funding provided for SR 347 project design, which includes $1.5 million for right-of-way and easements related to the Riggs TI, so the Riggs overpass, which is important to us because that means what we're doing on Riggs Road doesn't die or wait entirely until 2028. There'll be work happening, thankfully. So we'll have some of the study done, some of the right-of-way and easements taken care of when we're ready to go in 2028. So while it is depressing that we're not going to get started sooner, it is good news that we still have some funding in there to start doing some of the work related to the Riggs TI. We also had $1.9 million for widening and intersection improvements on the 347. And again, that's not going to do anything when it comes to actually widening the 347. $1.9 million will go towards the studies and understanding what we're going to do in both directions to get those things done. So that's a good thing. And maybe we can make some improvements at Cement Plant Road as well as Casablanca. The Riggs TI construction funding, $45 million, It was removed from prior year appropriations, but the good news is, like I just mentioned, it was not just removed and taken away, it was reappropriated to 2028, meaning legally it's there. It's not poofed, thankfully. So the intent language was put in. And then, of course, the design funding for the east-west corridor that was provided to Pinal County in 2024 was taken as part of the budget cuts. But it's kind of weird is because Pinal County already has that money. So I don't know what's going to happen there, because does Pinal have to give it back? But we'll figure that out, I guess, or Pinal County will figure that out over time. But work is still happening. And of course, in the city of Maricopa, we have hundreds of millions of dollars allocated towards infrastructure and transportation improvements over the next 10 years. So we're working hard to make sure transportation is very important. We know it's important. That is important to us to get done throughout our budgets here locally. But I wanted to, just mention that with the budget stuff that's happening, and it could have been worse. That's the crazy part. Without Katie working hard, Katie Proctor here in the city of Maricopa, our intergov, without the staff at the city of Maricopa, without the people that sit on council, but more importantly, without the hundreds and hundreds of letters we send out to not just the governor, but to legislators through fax347.com. So make sure to go there and fill that stuff out. Right? Is that right?
347facts.com.
347facts.com. My apologies. A little dyslexic,
Probably at
I
this
guess.
point over 700 letters.
So when you get to send out those messages, they know and they hear it, they read it. So next year when the budget comes up, we'll keep pushing and we'll keep pushing and we'll keep pushing, and we will get what we need. That is transportation fixes to the SR 347. Now, we don't control it. The state does, but we can control what we do as a reaction to it, and that is make sure we keep the pressure on. Hopefully that all makes sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Manfredi. Councilmember Wade.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. Just want to recognize that tomorrow is Juneteenth in the community. Juneteenth, for those of you who are not aware, it is today, the time when Colonel Granger of the Union Army marched into Galveston, Texas with 18,000 troops to announce that the slaves had been freed. They had been freed for 2 years prior to them even getting there. But there had become a celebration every year on Juneteenth, recognizing that action. There was an event on Saturday at the library in recognition of Juneteenth. And I want to acknowledge the person who has been putting that together for a number of years. That's Joanna Vanderpool. Joanna is not very well. She's not doing well, so please keep her in your prayers and know that she was a community servant, is a community servant that put a lot of effort into what she did for Juneteenth. There's going to be an event on the 22nd at the Central Arizona College, another Juneteenth celebration, a little more festive than the informational one at the library, but hopefully you'll attend. Starts at 3 o'clock at Central Arizona College, and hopefully you'll be able to go and attend. And then there is an event in Providence on tomorrow, which I'm going to be a speaker for that event, and that is a recognition of Juneteenth as well. So it's being very well circulated, very well covered, and hopefully you'll get a chance to attend one of the events that are taking place. And certainly, I say it again, remember Joanna, because she put forth a lot of effort into it. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Wade. Vice Mayor Learman.
Mayor, one of my favorite days here in the city of Maricopa is Flag Day. It is so beautiful to wake up and you drive around the city and there's just flags everywhere. And it was a little bit breezy and it was just a really, really beautiful morning. Echoing Councilmember Knorr, it was a beautiful ceremony and just a really nice morning. So I really enjoyed that day. I also attended the You Ask, We Listen. We welcomed Anna Medina, the president and CEO of the Pinal Gila Council for Senior Citizens. She shared great information, and there are so many resources for our seniors here in Maricopa. And so I just encourage you to find out what those are and learn more about them. I also had several community members in the last 2 weeks bring gratitude about the nonstop right turn lane out of Rancho El Dorado, and just what a huge difference that makes. And people are so grateful and thankful for that change. So I just wanted to share that. And then lastly, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out to honor my son on June 7th. We had the second annual Trey Learman 7-on-7 and Big Man competition. Our goal was to raise enough money to send 6 student athletes to football camp, and we achieved that goal, so thank you very much. We raised $987, and most importantly, the kids just had a great time out there playing football and enjoying the day. So thank you for all of you who came out and helped us achieve that goal. And that is it.
Great. Thank you, Vice Mayor Lehrman. So from the mayor's office, I want to talk a little bit about State Route 347, as a couple have here already. I first would like to invite, I see 4 members of the 347facts.com group. Would you please stand? Because 700 letters, and I'm sure my number's off a little bit. Thank you. Thank you very much. And just so you know, Councilmember Manfredi identified that it goes to the governor's office, it goes to representatives, it goes to 98 different representatives, representatives of the state, senators of the state, governor's office, ADOT, state transportation board members. So 98 individuals received these letters. And as Councilmember Manfredi alluded to, every time I visit a representative or see Teresa Martinez, she's talking about, oh my gosh, this is so good. So it's been a great avenue for making sure. In fact, at one of the ADOT State Transportation Board meetings, they commented on the fact that the city of Maricopa is so organized. How do they do this? And this group from 347facts.com is really the way that we do that. It's just been a wonderful success. In fact, Councilmember Manfredi made a post about the budget, encouraged everyone to go to this site, and on that day they received what, James, 70, 80 different, great, 100. So on that one day, they received 100 emails. I mean, it's just fantastic. It's the best way to communicate. I do want to thank Councilmember Manfredi for providing the details on what the budget did. I agree with him in that this was not a issue for me with our legislators. It really was the fact that ADOT said we're not ready for the funds, and so therefore move them to when we believe we're going to be ready. And I respect them for owning up to that, and I'm glad that they did. It's painful for us, we understand it, but if they're not ready, there's no sense in holding the funds in this year or next year. It needs to be moved. So I support that, and I thank you for getting that done and the words of support for keeping those funds. I appreciate that very much. I had really an exciting time. I was able to meet with Congressman Stanton and Colonel Baker, and we were able to sit down and sign a PPA, a project partnership agreement. And this was for $6.5 million. That was a grant to the city of Maricopa for it is the largest grant that was given to any entity in Arizona. The funds were used and to create a aquifer recharge system. And so to me, that's exciting, because what it says about the city of Maricopa, what it says about Global Water, because this is in partnership with Global Water, is we're not dealing with status quo. No, we're not happy with the fact that we have 21,000 acre-feet of water and we only use 8,000. No, we're not satisfied with that. We want to reclaim water for our future use that keeps us even further ahead of that mark. So that's very important, and it makes it very easy for our city and for Global Water to get started on that. That project. So that was really exciting for me that the city of Maricopa really received the largest grant, and that it's for reclaiming water for our future use. That's pretty cool. Vice Mayor and I attended an evening with the women of the veterans in Maricopa. And I have to tell you, I think we both were touched by their stories. They went around the room and shared their stories of heroism. And I used that word, they did not use that word. But when I listened to their stories, I'm like, oh my gosh, these women are amazing. So it was really exciting. I was really happy to be invited to attend that and to hear about some of the female heroes that we have in our city that we're not even aware of. So it was really quite spectacular. I also attended the 7-on-7 fundraiser in honor of Trey Learman. Don't need to cry. It was so fun because it represented teens in our community. And I don't know how many teams were there, but it was 7-on-7, and they were moving from station to station, being challenged with performances. And I was excited to be a part of that, to witness that. It was really quite tremendous. And to hear that all the funds go to sponsor 6 students for football camp. Very good. Congratulations. It was very successful. And then we had a CERT graduate class. And are any of our CERT graduates here tonight? I should have invited them, really, because I wanted to recognize them. But CERT is a way that volunteers can get certified and be helpful to both our police and our fire department. And I want to congratulate them on their success. So that ends the report from the mayor, unless there's something else. Okay, very good. That takes us to the report from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. 2 items tonight. I think one, I'll build off of what Councilmember Manfredi said in terms of our investment on infrastructure. I actually did some calculations with our Chief Financial Officer and Deputy City Manager, Matt Kozlowski. Yes. And we've actually spent more on capital projects and infrastructure in the last 4 years than the previous 17 combined. And that's not something that we highlight very often, but something that is huge. And perhaps more important than that, based off of our plan for next fiscal year, we'll likely at this point next year be able to say we've spent more in the last 3 years than the previous 18 combined. And so that is the amount of focus that we have on improving the infrastructure within our community and ensuring that the roads are going to meet the needs for our community and all other aspects as well. The one other thing I wanted to mention was, you know, we all have a lot of meetings on a regular basis, but I had an opportunity this morning to sit down with a young man in our community named Cameron Parker. He's been here for about a year, moved here from Scottsdale with his fiance, and just had a great passion for public service. He's never worked for government before. He never has really engaged much except that he's interested. And so we had a good conversation about how you can be a community champion as an individual within our community, and how each of us has an opportunity to lift our neighbors and build up and encourage and inspire others as we work together. And so I expect that he'll likely be a citizen leadership applicant here in the coming months, but I think really the thing that touched me is he's just one person that's a representative of so many within our community that strive to serve and strive to make our community better every day. And so just thought I'd share that with you. That's all. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. That'll take us to the call to the public. I have a couple of things to read in regards to this. First, what's actually in the agenda. The procedures to follow if you address the council are: council requests that you express your ideas in 3 minutes or less and refrain from any personal attacks or derogatory statements about any city employee, a fellow citizen, or anyone else, whether in the audience or not. The mayor will limit discussion whenever they deem such an action appropriate to the proper conduct of the meeting. At the conclusion of an open call to the public, individual members of the council may respond to criticism made by those who have addressed the council, may ask staff to review a matter, or may ask that a matter be put on a future agenda. However, members of the council shall not discuss or take legal action on any matter during an open call to the public unless the matters are properly noticed for discussion and legal action. In addition, when you approach the podium, please address your comments to the council and not to the audience. And then audience, periodically we all want to applaud success and celebration. Those are great opportunities to applaud, and I welcome that at the appropriate time. However, when we're hearing input from our residents, whether you support their comments or disagree with their comments, I request that you refrain from applauding or negatively responding to a speaker. It is very important to city council members that every person that wants to speak knows that they have a right to speak and not be intimidated. So that's new to our announcements, but it's become very important, and so please take note of that. So I have 4 speaker cards. Teresa Martinez will be our first. Representative Teresa Martinez, sorry.
I am State Representative Teresa Martinez, and I am here to address you very quickly, the 3 minutes. First of all, let me say that I'm happy to come back in a future date to give you a wrap-up of exactly the entire budget, water cuts, what we left on the table, what we left off. But I wanted to come and talk to you about the 347. We didn't come this far to quit or turn back now. Let me say that. Also, in good times, it's easy to see who a person is, but it's really the tough times that you see what a person is made of. When I found out about the budget cuts, I had some choice words and a lot of passionate conversations with some folks. And then after I calmed down, we had some serious conversations. I'd like to start off with the good news. They'll go good news, bad news, good news, and I'll try to keep it very quick.
We like when you finish with good news.
We'll finish with good news. We're
Okay.
going to start good, bad, and then
All right.
good. The good news is that the projects that TJ and I got, or Senator Shope and I got, for Casablanca and Cement Plant Road are on target. They're moving quickly. There was a little bit of a shortfall, which the state of Arizona said we're going to take care of that so that ADOT can fix that. I-10 is also on track, okay? Now we're going to go to the TI money, to the Brett Roberts money as it's been deemed at the Capitol. That is what we refer to that, is the Brett Roberts money. When Katie Proctor was hired here, probably about 2 months after she started with the city of Maricopa, the mayor and Katie came to me, and I think Vince was there, said, hey, what's going on with the Brett Roberts money? I was like, well, I don't know. Let me check. And I found out that they had not even selected a contractor yet. 2 years ADOT took to select a contractor. The reality is that the state budget was at $18 billion when I first got there. Today it is $16 billion. So we were able to cut down and whittle the state budget down $2 billion, which is important. But the 347, let's look at that. ADOT is not ready to move. They're not on the TI. They're not. They have focused predominantly on the sign of Maricopa, the M on Maricopa, Cement Plant Road, and Riggs Road. Cement Plant Road and Casablanca Road. That's what they're focused on. That's where my focus was on. When we started and we raised the flag about, hey, what's going on with the Brett Roberts, I could tell that they were not where they needed to be. If we did not move those funds, ADOT is still not ready to move on that project. They're just not. So it's kind of like your home budget. You know, you got insurance. In my case, I have insurance that comes up June and December. That's about $3,000 worth. And I start looking at that budget for the June bill, probably around the first part of May, and I start thinking about how I'm getting close to it, how am I going to pay for it. Right now, we're in February, according to ADOT. They're just not there, ready to move on it. When we get close to it, we will. Now, I've also learned, because I'm no longer a rookie, but I haven't been there for 12 years either. And what I've realized is that every budget is different. Every budget is different. So today this says we've pushed it out to fiscal year 28. I don't know that next year's budget will say that. I don't know. My goal is to get ADOT and the money at the same point, at the same time, so that when ADOT is ready to move, the money is there. When the money is there, ADOT is ready to move. Now, ADOT is, I'm not going to say a little bit afraid of me, because I really like the director and I really like Anthony Castleman, but they respond very quickly and they give me quarterly updates. So rest assured, the money is not gone. It is legally in law by statute that Brett Roberts passed and Governor Ducey signed that money is going to be there for the Riggs TI. End of story. Good news number one is MAG is probably going to pass their half-cent sales tax, and that TI is where? in Maricopa County. So we're good there. Number two, what I've noticed that works with ADOT is you need to keep on them. And so what I have done is in fact, I believe James already is aware of it, and the mayor is already aware of it, that I'm going to put together a committee. And I would like whatever quorum is not. So if quorum is 4, then 3. If quorum is 5, then 4. Members of the city council, I'd like James from Fax 347. I'd like somebody from the chamber. And I'd like a couple of people from the public. Regular public with no office title to join me in August to start a committee to help ADOT, to coach ADOT. It is going to take a village. I am one person, and I am strong, and I need help. And I'm not afraid to come to you and ask you, I need help. You have shown yourselves to be formidable. You've kept your word to me. And I've seen in this audience with groups ready to stand up and do something. So let's do something together. So if you are interested, if anybody hearing this broadcast sees me is interested in helping and being part of this August meeting, I'm glad to have you. This is what the August meeting is going to comprise of. We're going to go to ASU Decision Theater. We're going to be presented on water. And then we're going to tell ASU and those geniuses over there what kind of things we are looking for. They're going to ask for data. They're going to ask for input. They're going to then put a model together of what ASU and those engineers think about doing. ADOT has already agreed to participate. So I'm looking for this group to be anywhere between 10 to 15. We can't have 1,000. We can't have 30. I want people from all walks of life. And then next budget, maybe we see the TI in fiscal year 27, because that's very possible. It's also possible to do it in fiscal year 26. That's very possible. What has to happen is we have to get on ADOT and work with them to get them to where they're able to start. 2 years to pick out a contractor is completely ridiculous. And it was James's tweet, and I think it was James's tweet that I saw, that he says, well, how do we keep ADOT on track? How do we hold them accountable? That is how we hold them accountable. That is how we hold them accountable. I'm sorry. I wish I had better news.
I think you described it very wonderfully. I appreciate that.
Well, I described it wonderfully, but it's still horrible.
It's still horrible.
But
It's still horrible, but you gave people a clear picture of what's happening.
And that is what's happening. So rest assured, the money is not gone. The money is on hold. We have to get ADOT up to speed, and then we'll do it together.
Absolutely.
I'm happy to stand for questions if you have any.
100%. This is call to the public, so we can't do that at this point.
Then let me end with my phone number, 520-709-2311. If you are interested, if anyone is interested, again, I'm looking for whatever quorum is not on the city. I am looking for the public. I am looking for, if you are interested, I want you to contact my office. I want you to contact me. And then if you have names that you would like to go, that would be great. And we will need somebody from city staff, somebody preferably with an engineering background. And if anybody from the public has an engineering background, I'd be highly interested in there. So with that, I thank you so very much. I wish I had better news.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, our next person is Barry McCain.
Good evening, Mayor Smith, City Council. I'm Barry McCain from Maricopa. I'm glad to hear what I've heard, because this has been a bad year for us in Pinal County. At the state, it's just, I thank you. I'm there for you. Representative Martinez, I'm there for you. Okay. Now, I was on the ballot in 2018. I've been at the Capitol since 2005. I've been at the Board of Supervisors since 2012, since I came back from the DNC as a delegate. That made me qualified to run for public education. But we have to think about it. It's not about you or I. It's about we and us. And that's what it was so draining this year. It's the worst one since I've had since 2005 at the Capitol. But I'm AFSCME retiree. We're known all over the country. AFSCME is, we represent American Federation for State, County, and Municipal Employees. And I've been endorsed by them as a candidate. But what's important is you. This election is all about you. But the one things I talk about is about cronyism. And cronyism is bad for the economy. It hurts the economy. It's about relationships rather than qualification or about your education. It's just the worst thing that we have in this country. Been doing this, like I said, since 2005. And Pinal County is in particular, Maricopa is where I learned how to walk as a child. You know, the most important thing, I want everyone to know this, I'm here for you. This cronyism is a bad thing. It's the worst it can be. I was with, I'm AFSCME retiree, so we just had a meeting this morning. You know, I wish I could go to other meetings, but I've got so many organizations I'm with. It's gives me a reason to get up in the morning. And I'd like to thank you for the efforts. But this cronyism, I think, has to be addressed because it's about people and who they know. Democracy cannot exist in backroom deals. We have to be able to have free speech. Now, what you talk about call of public, it really rubs me wrong, and it's because the activist in me and the freedom rider that I am since 2020 is important because each one of you have something to say, and the ones that don't, they do it behind people's backs. That's why we had such a rough time this year at the Capitol. I got so many lawsuits, I don't know how many, you know, and I feel bad for Representative Martinez because I walk away. I start at 8 o'clock in the morning and walk away 8 o'clock at night. She can't because she's got elected. But as a union, I'm talking on everything, but being on the Pinal County Comprehensive Team set me up for that. And it's just not possible for us to live in this world and not care about others. And I want that to be understood. Yes, I'm a write-in candidate, but first and foremost, I'm union. The oldest union in the country of 3. And when I went to Charlotte at the DNC, we got along famously. So I know this city council can do better. You know, I see every one of you, so I want you to understand this. I'm there for you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCain. Our next speaker is Becky Clark.
Good evening, council and city staff. I'm here tonight to request an apology be made to my husband, Terry Clark, and myself, both in writing and in public at a city council meeting, for the method of misinformation provided by the city manager, city clerk, and reviewed by the city council and the city attorney. This was mishandled at every level and should not have been placed on the 5/21/24 agenda, item 8.3. Terry contacted Mayor Smith on an email that was directed to contact Ben Bitter for direction of filing an ethics violation. City Manager Bitter responded on an email addressing to Terry what to do and attached the form to fill out and submit. The form on that email, it was CC'd to the City Council and ZZ Tina Vanucci. On the attached form received, there was nothing stated for internal use only. This statement is not on any form that in-house intention, excuse me, in-house intention as referenced on the video of May 21st. Councilman Gettle refers it being his responsibility to review, and apparently that's not been accomplished by city council or staff since the May 2020 meeting that it was referred to in that meeting. Not one person on the council or city staff contacted Terry to let him know the form was intended for internal use and should not have been emailed to him, or what the proper procedure was. Therefore, the form and method in question should be accepted as valid until it's been changed, and that apparently isn't important enough to accomplish until the August meeting. I would expect then that any ethics violations submitted prior to changing the form to internal use only, that it be valid. Councilmember Knorr stated investigations take 5,000 or more. When this violation has already been corroborated by 5 people at this point, directly to 3 council members, in person, verbally, directly, not hearsay or third party. At the Province Town Hall, Mayor Smith, you said the complaint was invalid and unfounded and denied. This was covered by in Maricopa publicly. An apology is in order. In closing, I want to thank the council for your time in allowing me to address this injustice and hope it can be corrected so other City of Maricopa residents don't have to face the public scrutiny for following your direction and then being told they were wrong. Please have the honor to admit the mistake and the integrity to correct it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Next on our speaker cards is Ron Angerami.
Thank you, City Council. I'm Ron Angerami. I live here in Maricopa. I want to talk about 347. Let me start out by thanking everybody. I want to thank everybody for their hard efforts on 347. I know it's been a tough go, particularly Teresa, Mayor, Katie, Vince. You know, this is a tough go, but I wanted to remind everybody that on June 21st, there's the ADOT meeting in Flagstaff, and this will be the final acceptance of the 5-year plan. This will be the last public opportunity to comment on this plan. So I want to encourage everybody to go and participate in this critical meeting. If you are already planning to attend, that's fantastic. But in addition to just participating in the meeting, I would encourage everybody to really take some time and develop a presentation that's full of facts, figures, stats, that will have on the ADOT board members. I'm planning to participate as well, and I'll give you just a little bit of a heads up on what my talk will be around. So I'm planning to talk about all the accidents on 347. In the last 4 weeks, there's been 4 accidents on 347. June 7th, May 29th, May 22nd, May 14th. That's 1 accident a week. Okay? So if we delay the improvements on 347 from 2026 to 2028, that's 2 years. That's 104 weeks. Based on how we're averaging so far, that could mean that's an additional 104 accidents. Okay? It's 104 accidents that could be avoided if the original timeline is not changed. How many injuries could be avoided or lives saved if the timelines are not delayed? So I'm encouraging each and every one of you to take some time this week, put together a fact-filled presentation and advising ADOT that the current revised 5-year plan is very impactful to Maricopa. This is our last chance to publicly address this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that is all the speaker cards I have. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Please come forward. State your name.
Kenneth Golacki. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm just here just to speak again about the education given back for breakfast and lunch. So I'm just wanting to partner up with the city. I have a nonprofit. I remember last week just talking about the micro schools. So I definitely want to be a part of the city that's growing. Because I know elections are coming up, and then a lot of people young are not registered to vote. And so we should be able to give back, and also too, just sitting back, just looking at, just being a young member of Maricopa, just seeing the opportunities are here. So just wanting just to be established. I know I talked to Mr. Ben a while ago when I first started coming, so I still haven't stopped. So I just want to still keep pushing on and just letting you know that there's still avenues that we can still produce that is cost efficient. I know there's things that's coming up like 347. I know that things are still pulling up like apartments. I don't really approve of them per se, but you know, I think like there should be businesses that should own properties like Ice and Water that's been here since 2004. They should own some property. I'm just saying, it shouldn't be people that know someone, that know some realtors to give them a lending hand. It should be us that's been here, that's wild, that should earn our living. And so that's all I'm just saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Anyone else like to approach the podium? Please do, and give us your name.
Madam, excuse me, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor Learman, members of the City Council, my name is Leon Potter, and I just would like to remind City Council of the Code of Ethics, Chapter 2.30 of the Maricopa City Code. Council members have a duty to report violations of the Code of Ethics or any misconduct that raises a substantial question as to a member's integrity or fitness as a public official. Council shall serve as a committee of the whole for purposes of a code of ethics enforcement, which includes a reasonable process for investigating complaints that affords the subject of a complaint and a full and fair opportunity to be heard. The city benefits from formal and informal reporting procedures that encourages prompt resolution of grievances and concerns. I thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else please do, come forward, give us your name. I know who you are, but others may not.
Good evening, Mayor, and to the entire council. I'm just like overjoyed and excited because God is so good to us. I just wanted to give a report of our church and what we've done since we've been here in Maricopa. We started our ministry in October of 23, eating fish in my kitchen, good old fried catfish, right? And from there, we had our first service in November of 23. This November will be our 1-year anniversary. We've been out here for 6 months. In 6 months since we've been here, we've been able to grow from 8 to approximately around 30, almost 40 members now of our ministry. I'm excited because I'm seeing the light in the eyes of the people who are coming to our services. Our ministry is a ministry that understands the importance of unity, and so that's what we're promoting through the gospel message of Jesus Christ. I'm a black pastor, but I don't pastor a black church. We pastor a church for all people, all are welcomed, and I love it because I've seen so much happen since we've been here. I'm going to give you one testimony, and I tend to be a little loquacious, so I'm going to do this as quickly as possible. But since we've been here, one of our members who lives here, her son came to visit her and visit our ministry. This young man had been strung out on heroin for 15 years, had been in prison, got out of prison, and was struggling with getting off of the heroin. So you know they have to take these supplemental drugs to try and help to wean them off of heroin. He came to our service, heard the gospel message of Jesus, and instantly no longer has he needed that supplemental drug to take him off of heroin. These are the kind of things that we're seeing and the things that's happening in our ministry, and being a part of Maricopa, because I believe Maricopa is on the cutting edge of showing this entire nation what it looks like, of what a nation looks like when everybody works together. And so our job at Blaze Christian Development Ministries is to lead the way. And that's what we're doing. We believe that when people work together, and throughout human history, every time there was a move, it always came as a result of unity. And so when people unify, that's when the needle is moved, in the natural and in the spirit, when people unify and come together. So the picture of the kingdom of God is a picture of all of the nations coming together to sup at the feet of Jesus. That's what we're doing. We're promoting unity, oneness, and we're seeing great things happen as a result of it. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you all. Keep praying for us. We're going to keep praying for this council, and we're believing that God is going to continue to show himself strong in our ministry. So thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, would anyone else like to approach the podium? Yes, please state your name.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, City Council members. My name is Rich Vitiello. Today I'm here representing the Maricopa Pantry. We all know that about a year and a half ago, their building burnt down out in Hidden Valley. Just this weekend, they served 1,900 people. So these raffle tickets are 50-50, they're $20 each. My phone number is 520, that's my old number, 480-358-8051. You could call me, you could Venmo me, I'll come pick up the money. The raffle tickets will be drawn on the 30th of this month. You don't have to be there. So if you fill out the raffle ticket, I will make sure that I will be there on the 30th. And again, it's a 50-50 raffle for the food pantry. And again, like I said, it's a great cause. They need to build this building, and we got to, as a community, help them out. So again, on the 30th of this month, down in Raceway, they'll be doing the drawing, but you don't have to attend. Like I said, I'll be more than happy to come to your door, come to your house, come to your work, come anywhere you are to collect $20 per ticket. And the audience, I know I'm not supposed to turn, so as you all can see, please give me a call again, 480-358-8051. After the council meeting, I will take your money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? Welcome, and state your name, please.
Thank you. My name is Cedric Brown, and I'm a resident of Maricopa, and my bishop is Pastor Dion Hill. I want to thank the council for giving me this opportunity. I want to thank Councilman Wade for being so nice to us and just treating me and my family just so kind since we've been here. But our church is about, like my pastor said, we're not a black church, but we are God people church. And I want to see us come together as one. So if we won, I would like to see some of the council members come to our service and let people see that we are behind you. So we want to bring unity to Maricopa. Our church have last about 2 months, we had a picnic. We gave away free food, hot dogs to the community. We had a young man that stayed in Maricopa that his grandmother couldn't afford him to go to camp. My bishop in his church paid for him. The camp was $300, but since he worked for the school system in Chandler, they cut it in half, and we gave this young man an opportunity to go to a basketball camp. He's about 15, about 6'5". So we making a move here in Maricopa, but we want to come together as one. So all your council members, if you for the people, I would love for you to just come to our service. We're not trying to get no members, but let people see that we unify. Let people see that the council members care about the people, and I think that'll be a change. And thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anyone else like to approach the podium? Please come forward. Oh, I thought he was coming forward. He fooled me. All right. Oh, is he? Okay. Wonderful. Please state your name.
Hello, Council. My name is Paul Golden. I'm just a citizen, resident of Maricopa. I spent half my life overseas, retired military, contractor / ambassador of the U.S. And as a new resident of Maricopa, and this is my first time ever speaking in a capacity of this amount, so I would just like to say that I'm going to try to keep it broad. First, I'm going to start off with a message to America, and then I want to end it with a message about what I've seen so far in Maricopa. So my message to America, as far as councils and elected officials goes, is we have become a country where I am starting to see in conversations on the side that we are in a position that people are going to be losing their houses to taxes. And that is the saddest thing I've ever seen in my life. And I am so disgusted over even knowing that this is happening. I've seen my mortgage, which is insurance and property tax, go up at least $600 within 2 years. So people say that's your mortgage, that's your income tax and that's your insurance, but actually that is your mortgage because you wouldn't have any of that if you didn't have a mortgage. So our mortgage went up $600. It can go up even more. I'm hearing states where people are losing their houses to taxes. That is so sad. They can come up with money for anything else but us, and they could pull that money from somewhere else. And if anything, we should just have a shelter with no lights, no water, no electricity. If that's what it called for, we should not be losing our house to taxes. That's my message to America, and I just wanted to get that out there because I've never in the history of my life heard that conversation spoken live. Never. And if you could find one, send it to me. I'll end it with that for the American message. For the message for Maricopa, from what I've seen so far, I've DJ'd for a year, so I got to see a lot of people on the street. And everywhere I went, in every country I've been to, and I've been to a lot of countries, I hit the streets, I've lived, I slept in the same houses I've been with, I ate with, I did everything you can imagine with people in other countries. And what I'm seeing so far in Maricopa is that the message isn't getting out there. You people are working hard. Some are working harder than others, but regardless, people are working very hard in our elected officials and citizens. But one thing that I don't see happening is the message getting put across to everybody. And the only thing I can see as far as Maricopa goes, we have no news station, which I think we're big enough to have a little local station. And we have no radio station. I think we're big enough to have a local radio station. And Facebook is not going to cut it. Not everybody is up on Facebook. Not everybody wants to post and speak on Facebook. So if the message were to come across, I think that people would respond better. And that's all I would say is we need to get the message out better than we have been. And that's all I really want to say for now. I'm new, and you will see me more.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? All right, seeing none, I will close the call to the public, and that'll take us to the consent agenda. This evening we have items 7-1 to 7-13. I don't have any speaker cards. I look to council to determine if we need to pull anything.
Mayor,
Yes,
I'd like to pull 7.10 from the consent agenda.
7.10 from the consent agenda. Okay, we can talk about that immediately after the consent agenda. Would anyone else like to pull anything? All right, very good. Do I have a motion for the others?
So moved.
So moved with removing 7.10.
Oh, I thought you meant to move the consent agenda over.
I do. 7.1 to 7.13, removing 7.10.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you just have to verbalize it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, do I have a second? Yes, Councilmember Marsh seconds. Any additional questions, comments? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Let's go to 7.10, which is, let me get to it.
You just have to say.
The mayor and council shall discuss and approve the purchase and sale agreement with MUSD. Councilmember Manfredi, are you going to, oh, okay, Councilmember Knorr, you're going to speak on this or ask questions?
No, I want to recuse myself.
Oh,
That was all. I just wanted to give Amber, I said Amber, I'm sorry, Councilmember Noor the opportunity to recuse herself from the issue because she asked.
very good, very good. Would you like to make a motion then?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve 7.10.
Very good. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilmember Wade. Any additional comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Very good. Thank you very much. That takes us to the regular agenda, and this item is a presentation on a transit overview by Josh Bowman. Welcome, Josh.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Thank you for letting me present tonight. So this is going to be coming and doing a little presentation. Some of this stemmed from our futures planning meeting and some of the questions that came up from our senior advisory committee about transit and transit overall. So with that, I'll get started. So when we look at transit, transportation, there's a lot of ways we can look at and evaluate what that is. So some of you might be familiar with this little cartoon, the story that you have multiple people with blindfolds who've never seen an elephant that come and grabbing different parts, try to explain what it is. So one person grabs, a tusk and says, "Oh, this is clearly a spear." Another grabs the tail and says, "Nope, this is a rope." And so each person grabbing a different piece is trying to evaluate it with that one piece. And so sometimes transit is kind of similar to that. So what we're going to try to do is look at it from a couple different angles and see how we can best evaluate what transit is for the city. So when we talk about transit, as many of council members, many of you discussed, transit, transportation, most people are going to be thinking about what that 347. Now, I can't think that anyone here is unfamiliar with what that Google image of traffic congestion all the way up, but that's what most people are going to say. Even if I'm talking about transit, that's what they're thinking, is that transportation. Some people might think about multimodal opportunities within the city. Again, traffic along 347 is going to number up from most folks, but what we're here tonight is talking about this transit system that we have within Maricopa and what that means and how we evaluate it. So each different asset of that, what can we do to make the city of Maricopa thriving and durable? So a little history of the transit within the city of Maricopa. It has been at some level since 2008, and that has been in a couple different fashions, both outsourced and within the city. It has changed a few times based on demographics, based on city needs, based on our growth. In general, it has been funded by grant funds, the City General Fund, and a small portion by the Riders' Fairs. Where we're at currently within the system is there is one circulator, which has about 12 stops, goes around in hour loops around the city, trying to hit some of the high traffic areas. Currently, there's a little over 8,000 riders that have used that, or 8,000 rides, not individual riders, but 8,000 rides done. So that breaks down to about 35 rides per day and about 4 rides per hour. We also have 2 dial-a rides. So these are vans that pick up point-to-point, pick up people at their homes and take them directly to those services. We have a little shy of 4,000 rides that have happened within the last year, and of that broken down, under 200 unique riders that are using that service, so less than 1%, about 0.23%. The frequent locations, as you can see there, are Senior Center, Fry's, Planet Fitness, Copper Sky. These are picking up in all the different areas throughout Maricopa. I will note on this, and some of you I believe are aware, there has been a recent app launch within the city of Maricopa. So for our dial-a-ride, which we do, has already increased some of that ridership to make it more efficient. It's using an algorithm on the back end so people can book online. So that will increase those numbers, but still, that's kind of where they stand right now. Currently, we are funded by a 5311. It's a FTA, or Federal Transit Administration grant. It reimburses us for operating costs at about 58%. There is also a 80% administration reimbursement. That grant will be expiring in just a few months, which is why some of these came up that we get to present to you on what options we want to look at and explore. We plan to move forward with the 5307 grant, and the reason we are switching between those grants is because as Maricopa grows, our population is no longer eligible for 5311, and now we're eligible for 5307. There is some pros and cons that we'll go into a little bit later. The reimbursement rate does go down to 50/50. That includes operation and admin. I know that table's small, but it's kind of what that breaks down. So a little bit different, a little bit less on reimbursement for operations of transit, but there is some other opportunities, including trails we'll talk about here in a minute. Currently, the way the cost breaks down is operating is about $300,000. So currently, with this split with that 80 and 58%, the city's percentage is right over $100,000, reimbursed almost $200,000. There is some additional admin costs, about $8,000 that is on the finance admin that is not reimbursable. but that's kind of what it is right now until the end of the 5311 grant. Farebox revenue, which is the charge, is under $4,000. I state this only as this is kind of where, again, one of the lenses that you evaluate this from, as we recently tried to look at and say, what is the average nationally of that farebox? Farebox nationally, that is big cities, little cities, everything, is about 40% of operating costs. Currently, the city farebox revenue is about 1.25% of our operating costs. So the way that breaks down by our modes and the cost per rider is, so again, that circulator that's going around in our loops, to operate that, it costs per rider about $15. Rider does not charge anything for this currently. The city, again, if you think that broken, that 50-50 model, city's paying about $7.50 for that ride. The grant's paying about $7.50 for that ride. The dial-a-ride, which again is that curb-to-curb pickup, has a higher cost. It is about $30 per ride. Rider pays $1 for each of those rides. Again, 50-50 split with that grant. City's picking up about $15 and grant's $15. So one of the requests, again, that came to that futures planning meeting in our committees is the senior advisory group has requested additional services for our seniors to get to the community center. There is also riders that have requested, there are some riders that this is their main mode of transportation. There is some citizens that have requested some additional multimodal opportunities within the city. And as the city grows, particularly in multifamily and has some additional job locations, transit may be an additional opportunity for growth there. So we've looked at a few different options we'll kind of explain. We can go in, some of these will be a little bit higher level. We can go in more depth if requested. But look at expanding service, outsourcing service, stopping service, modifying funding for that service, continuing with the current plan of going to that 5307, modifying services, and just being aware of other opportunities out there for transportation within the city. So expanding service, it is not currently recommended, and I say that currently. We will be doing a study that is required to get into the 5307 grant, which will explore additional route opportunities. Additional services would serve additional people, but of course would cost more. So there will be an additional study that will go that more in depth. Outsourcing, there has been an investigation of this. Currently, we do not recommend this. One of the large pros of why this would be beneficial to the city is it has a larger pool of drivers. Currently, we have 3 drivers, so if one calls out, that pretty quickly affects the service that day, where sometimes with those outsources, you have larger pool and can cover for that a little bit easier. The con of that is significantly more cost. For a couple of quotes we got, we're about 25 to 50% increase in cost, and you lose some oversight with that. One of the things that would be of note, and which will be included in that study, is potential outsourcing if it is at a regional transportation, something like the Valley Metro or something along those lines, when they're able to pull multiple cities together and be a little bit more effective that way. Stopping service, currently not recommended. There would be a cost savings, of course, but you have reduced options for residents and potentially lower quality of life for those that are using that service. Modified funding, and so I'll go a little bit more in depth on what this means. So currently this particular modified funding source we're not recommending, which would be just stopping grants, though there are a lot of hurdles that you've got to address with grants and a lot of kind of hoops that you got to jump through. There is some cons of that. So pros, of course, more flexibility, less burdensome on staff, but significant reduce in funding. I got a little example, and I'll throw through some numbers here. If we are operating a service of about $300,000, which is where we're at right now, and again, thinking that we will have a 50-50 split, we're now going to be reimbursed for $150,000. But there is significantly more administration cost on that. So where we said about $8,000 would be not reimbursed, this time we're looking at about $50,000 not reimbursed. So now I've got an operating cost of $200,000. I know I'm kind of throwing out numbers, but I think you're following with me. That $200,000, could we operate a service with that? We could scale it down and do one dial-a-ride and one circulator route. We could make that work if you look at just operating. However, that does not include our capital improvements, which is the buses. So just to replace our fleet, we would be looking at $600,000 as soon as we have to replace that. So that method does not work as well as it may have initially look at. There is the option of increasing fare box revenue. As you saw in the originally a couple slides ago, our circulator route does not charge anything currently, and our dial-a-ride costs $1. The pro of increasing those rates is there is more funding. The con is, of course, greater cost to the riders. I will note that if we collect an additional dollar with the grant, it would be split 50-50. So that comes in operating costs before the 50-50 split. So an additional dollar in revenue only gets reimbursed at 50%. There are other options for funding. One of them is the 5310 grant. So there are multiple grants out there from the FTA, the Federal Transit Administration. Another one that is used commonly in the Valley area is the 5310. One of the benefits is that it can do senior-specific programming and ridership where the 5307 cannot. It is more competitive. Right now, CAG, which is the local planning authority for Pinal County, is doing a gap study to see where this grant could be effective. Other opportunities that are looked into is the Gila Council for Seniors. In working and discussions with them, it sounds like the original ask is saying, hey, could we provide some of those things? They had said not without having some catering kitchen, things like that. We are going to be continuing to work with them to see if there's some avenues that we can continue to partner. Other opportunities is looking for other nonprofits, looking for private donors, looking for sponsorship, looking for any and other opportunities to be able to help raise funds to make this effective for our citizens. The 5307 grant. Now, I will say this is the current plan, which we expect with the conclusion of the 5311 grant is to move forward this 5307 grant, and I'll talk about some of the benefits of it. The cons is that there is, anytime you change, you have to do some costly studies. That's the way the federal government requires you to work to go through these grants. There is not a lot of flexibility in that, and it is, as I said earlier, very administratively burdensome. However, there are some significant additions. I will note one other thing on the change from the 5311 to the 5307. We have a transit advisory committee that will not be required with the 5307 grant, where it currently is under the 5311 grant. One of the pros, and basically the pro of the 5307 grant, and why this would be recommended to move forward with this, is we are already allotted nearly $1.8 million. So a lot of money. The 50-50 split is for operations, but they fund other things at different rates, including trails, which is at 90% reimbursement. So pretty handy if we're looking at some of those multimodal opportunities. They also fund additional like park and ride, cameras, security options with city, which again 5311 did not have that opportunity. So let me show you the way that kind of breaks down for this next year. So right now we have about $300,000 in operating costs. We would have to do, in fact, we are moving forward with a transit study that investigates some of these things as well as some additional routes and those types of things. That will cost estimated about $250,000 to $300,000. That is reimbursed with this grant at 80%. The $300,000 is reimbursed at 50%. We have the rest of that $1.7 million to use for trails and multimodal opportunities. That $1.7 million, the excess of that rolls over for 5 years. So if we wanted to roll over that, $1.3, $1.4 million for a couple years and then have a larger pool of money to do some larger projects. Some things that can't happen within the 5307, we cannot get rid of the dial-a-ride, which is one of the things that was asked to kind of look into. We could get rid of it and replace it with a paratransit, which has some additional requirements that are currently would be more burdensome with a small staff. Some of the bigger cities that could make sense and something we could explore in the future, but right now would be very difficult to operate that. And we cannot do senior-specific programming. It has to be applied for all citizens across the board. There are some things that we can do with the study and without the study. We could change the way we're doing one of those dial-a-rides, where we currently have 2 dial-a-rides. We could switch those to another circulator route that could do some additional stops at the senior center. We could also do some stops further on the east side. So there's things that we'll be looking into with that study, but those are options that we can do. We could also modify the current dial-a-ride. Instead of doing home pickup curb to curb, we could say, so let's say someone's in Tortosa and wants to go to Fry's. We could take them, currently we take them from Tortosa to Fry's in the dial-a-ride, where you could look at taking them Tortosa to here, where there's a bus stop, and this bus stop gets them on the circulator that then takes them to Fry's. So that would include a transfer, which is pretty common in larger systems. We just haven't really utilized that aspect. With the study and based on some of those findings, we also could be looking at some different things. There is, since our original study, or since the last study was in 2018, the Lyft, Uber, those things were not quite at the same level they are now. Those are, of course, I would expect most of us have used that at some level. There are some cities that are basically partnering with those organizations and trying to reduce the costs, where you saw that for us, dialing a ride is about $30 per ride. Uber and Lyft can do that for many of the rides within the city for much less than that. $12, $15, $8 even, so something along those lines. There's a little upcharge on that, but still we would be less than what the dial-a-ride is for the city to operate that. I will note that where we have to have all of our vehicles as ADA accessible, all have to be CDL drivers, those types of things, Uber and Lyft will not have to do that, and that's where they're able to come down with some of those costs. We also, again, have the opportunity to change different routes. So let me shift just a little bit. So those are different opportunities that we have within the transit system. I think it's important to share some opportunities that are not within the city's transit system, but are opportunities for all our residents. One of the opportunities that can be explored, particularly with our senior citizens, is some carpools within the community center and some of the groups that are utilizing that. There are a number of different ride share, which is basically carpooling apps. That particular one is highlighted by Valley Metro, and if you go in and explore that within Maricopa, there are already a number of residents that share rides regularly getting into the valley. And another was talked in a futures planning meeting is the Valley Metro van share program. So you can get a group of anywhere from 5 to 15 people together and basically lease that van through Valley Metro, and depending on the size of your group, gives you the size of the van. And again, you will probably see these if you know, many of them park at Fry's, Bash's, those like things. So that's another opportunity, particularly if you're going with, you know, a group to the same location. So with that, I open it up to any questions.
Council, what questions, comments do you have? Yes, Councilmember Gettle.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Broman, thank you for your presentation tonight. Just a couple of clarifying questions. I understand that each of our vans and our shuttles are ADA accessible. Can you talk a little bit about the capacity of each of those systems, and how do we as a city manage the use of the ADA accessible?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Councilmember Gettle. So, yeah, all the vehicles are ADA accessible, so they have a ramp that lowers down, makes it really easy. All of our drivers are trained to help assist people getting them into the vans or buses. The vans have the capacity of one wheelchair. but they can get multiple folks. If you have like a walker or something that can be collapsible, you can still get those in our dial-a-ride system. I will note on that with the VIA app, which has recently been launched, you mark if you need additional assistance with wheelchair, walker, stroller, any of those types of things, and the algorithm on the back end is going to optimize the route. So if you can't have a lot more people in there with you, it will make fewer people and still get you a ride. If you don't have that, you're able to get a few more riders in at a time. So it's no rider is going to feel that effect. They're just going to get picked up, taken care of, and get to their destination.
Very good.
On the circulator route, you could have up to 2 full-size wheelchairs at any one time. We have not had any issues with capacity at this time, but again, we will always be monitoring that and seeing, and that's one of those things if additional routes need to happen or anything like that.
Very good, thank you. And for clarification, as we pursue the 5307 grant, does that allow us to expand service out to, let's say, Tortosa with an additional study? Because I know that's a big concern.
Again, Councilmember Gettle, yes, that is absolutely something that will be included in that upcoming study.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Gettle. Any additional questions, comments? Okay, so just for clarification on the 5307, trails means, I had to ponder this for a second. I'm like, trails, like, so you mean hiking trails?
So we mean, so for that to get reimbursed at 90%, it is trails that will connect to a bus stop within 3 miles.
Aha, thank you for that clarification.
So that's most all of the city. And
Yeah.
so these wouldn't necessarily be hiking trails up in the mountains, but these are interconnected within the city. And so one of those slides that I was clicking through at the very beginning saying multimodal opportunities, the city has a plan to connect many of these HOA trails, and this would be a funding source to do that. So right now you've got a beautiful trail within one of our HOAs, and it doesn't necessarily connect. This gives us an opportunity to connect some of those and then look for future opportunities.
Very good. I kind of like, I would like to look at rider choice. Is that how you referred to it as? Yeah,
Right.
where you are partnering with, I would like to look more at that. I think that very well could be more cost effective, I don't know, but I think it's something worth looking at. I think the thing that it provides, if it all worked out wonderful, is I've heard many seniors in particular talk about the opportunity to catch a ride at night to an event. They don't want to drive at night, and so our services don't run all that long into the evening, and that seems like it would provide an opportunity for those types of service. So I would like to look at rider choice, definitely. What else are you looking for?
So
tonight?
The study scope has not been officially defined yet. We will be working with MAG to release that, which is there's that planning authority.
Okay.
So many of the options we looked at, particularly routes will be a big one, and saying what would be, as we grow, what would be the best actually route
Absolutely.
configurations, looking
Yeah.
at some of those trigger points of say, as we grow with this would be the recommendation of when we might need to increase this type of service. And so those types of opportunities and just saying, okay, yeah, basically giving us an evaluation of where it is now and where it would go moving forward.
Okay, so based on that study, you would be coming back to us for more information or approval and/or approval?
At least to present those findings.
Very good, very good. Okay, anything else that you're looking for tonight?
Nope, just wanted to share that as, again, as that futures planning meeting said, let's look into this a little bit more.
Very
We have
good.
an opportunity to switch between grants and understand what that means.
Very good. I appreciate the information tonight, but I do look forward to a little more time to really think about what you've suggested here tonight. It was a plethora of data, so I appreciate that.
I will note, Mayor, that the study will be out a little ways.
Okay,
So-
what is a little ways?
So we still have to release the bid for it. Matt will be
Okay.
the one that operates that, so it does take a couple of months to
Okay.
do that survey, so.
All right, very good. Any additional comments, questions? All right, thank you very much. And this does end our meeting for this evening. Thank you all for being here.